Hey guys. Okay, so I'm in my apron because I'm in the middle of making dinner and my allergies are kicking up, so hopefully I won't sneeze or sniffle at you. But I've had so many nice comments recently about like, when are you going to post next, that I thought I would just go ahead and post. And I know I promised you David Tanis next in terms of Chez Panisse alums. So we have done Paul Bertoli and Deborah Madison, which leads me to David Tanis. David Tanis is just really one of my all-time favorites. He's worked on and off for Chez Panisse for many years, and still working with Alice right now in Los Angeles, not at Chez Panisse, but at a new venture. He's also taken time off to, in the past, do a walk-up supper club in Paris. But he's back in the States, and he is working with Alice again. I find him really so genuine and amazing. He's from Dayton, Ohio, which I used to live down the street, essentially, from Dayton, Ohio. And my husband actually worked with him at Chez Panisse for a while. So even though I personally have never met him, his authentic voice comes through so much in his books, of which he's written 5, and we, of course, own all 5 of them. But I have 2 that I love the most. And with that being said, I'm just going to read you a tiny bit out of A Platter of Figs, because that's the one that I really adore. I had a hard time thinking about doing this review for David Tania simply because I haven't actually cooked a lot out of his books. And the reason I haven't cooked a lot out of his books is because every time I open A Platter of Figs or Heart of the Artichoke, I feel so blissful and at the same time almost overwhelmed with the need to live long enough to eat all of his food and live that, how would I even put it? Generous life, I guess, that I just kind of melt down. So all the recipes in A Platter of Figs are geared toward 8 servings, because David Tanis really likes to spend time with family and friends, and that's one of the things that I just love about him. The Artichoke book is a little different in that he goes the gamut from cooking for himself to cooking for a couple of friends to cooking for a larger amount. And in any case, his food is so simple and genuine, and just, I don't even know, I'm trying to figure out a way to explain it. You know that these videos are not scripted in any way. And so trying to find the right word for David Tanis's food, well, I think that if I read you a little blurb out of the beginning of A Platter of Figs, that will tell you way more about David Tanis and the book and his style than anything I could possibly say. So I do have that marked, so give me a second. Okay. This is from the foreword. Okay, this is David Tanis's words. He says, "Do you really need a recipe for A Platter of Figs?" Because that is the title of the book. Do you really need a recipe for A Platter of Figs? No. Is that the point? Yes. Does it have to be more complicated than that? Not really. Yet to serve the figs, you need to know about ripeness and seasonality, the seasons of the garden, and you need to know your figs. By this I mean, are they sun-ripened and bursting with jammy sweetness? Are they succulent enough to eat as is, or do they want a sprinkling of salt, a drizzle of good olive oil, perhaps a thin slice of prosciutto? a dab of fresh ricotta and honey to heighten the flavor? Or should you roast the figs with onions and thyme and serve them warm with rare grilled duck breasts? This will determine their place in the menu. That is, as a first course, a main course accompaniment, or a simple dessert. So I think that kind of tells you a lot about David Tanis, right? It goes on to talk a little bit more, but I think that says a lot. And a little bit further, I will just say this. He says, this is a book about eating as much as it is about cooking, about eating with friends and cooking for friends, and why that matters so much. So that says everything that I could ever tell you about David Tanis and his books. And everything that's in here, in all his books, I think his first book, the Corn Book, which was in 1995, is a little outside of his personality, for lack of a better way of putting it. It was his very first book. He was doing, I suspect, what the publishers wanted, but his voice doesn't really come through until he starts with A Platter of Figs, which, let's see what the date is. A Platter of Figs started in 2008, and then he did Heart of the Artichoke in 2010, One Good Dish in 2013, and Market Cooking in 2017. In any case, I think he really found his voice when he started with The Platter of Figs. He also writes for the New York Times, so you might have heard of him there. In any case, he's really, you should definitely check him out. I think he's amazing, and I get a little bit anxious when I read his books, especially A Platter of Figs and the Artichoke, Heart of the Artichoke, because I start thinking, why do I feel like I need 1,000 cookbooks when really, if you have David Tanis and a few other delightful things, I could scale my whole library down to 24 books. But, I can't do that because I love them all. But I do absolutely, positively recommend David Tanis. And again, he is a Chez Panisse alum, so he's a part of this little series we've got going. Here's this one. Cool. Check out the others. Okay. Thanks. Bye.